Welcome friends to another 40k video. Today we look at a short story, The Empty Place by Graham Mcneil, and an unusual type of space marine featured there, the Exorcists, who have an unusual immunity to the demons of the warp. How do they have this ability? Friends, let's find out. The captured marine has been deafened by endless chanting, choked on their incenses and taken their psychic poison, and endured it all. He's bound, but he's used to it after his body for a time was given over to another. A mask of black iron is attached to his face, through his skull, and they think they are safe with him in the cage. The marine's body is marked with symbols of excoriation. A surgeon comes, and when an acolyte comes too close to the marine, he shatters his ribs. In the past again, he was bound, and his eye had been removed, and where he is he can feel the veil of the warp. It is very thin, and a creature from there is ready to enter the marine's host body and make his flesh its. It thinks the marine will not know what he is truly in for. This never-born prince will eat his soul, and so it pours its essence into him. Then in the present, the marine warns those in the materium that they're going to die. A high acolyte enters and says, "This marine is special." And he says the marine's name is Merrin Dragomir, first blade of the sons of Balthazar. And the ceremony continues, and Dragomir thinks that his cauterized mind is a necessary blunt instrument, and that even he can register this psyker's soft attempt at intrusion. It must be this new acolyte doing it. The acolyte, he observes, there is more to this marine than most, and he says, "Your flesh is cut with the ancient markings of the ruinous powers. Your scars speak of knowledge shunned by most. Knowledge is power," Dragomir says. In the past, the demon approves of its new host, even though he is resisting, but it knows all the 1,000 levers of a human's behaviour. In control, it tries to move the marine's body, but find that it is chained. And in the now, the marine sees a body of another marine, one of his brethren, moving like an old man. It holds a sword, one that had spilled the blood of millions, a holy weapon, and the marine, Dragomir, even sees fear in the eyes of the high acolyte Sedai Taimon, who may wield it. The blade bearer recites names of the demons that they are aligned with, and the marine knows some of those names because to resist the enemy is to walk as the enemy for a time, and I have walked farther and deeper into the dark forest than most. Sedai brings out a key that weeps iron and whispers obscenities. Sedai takes the key, and as he does this, his skin flakes away from the muscle and bone, and though he suffers, he opens a padlock. As the key continues to kill Sedai, a thing comes out. Now its prison is unlocked, and the eyeless thing flexes its shoulders, the joints cracking and splitting with the sound of grinding metal and glass. A blue light sparks to life in its empty eye sockets, and the sword is brought up in its leathery, desiccated hands. Molten light spreads through the blade, and it comes towards Dragomir. It says, "The chains binding me are strong, but Timon was right. He had never seen a warrior quite like him. I have the steel within, a power beyond that of my more ancient brethren." But he waits. The blade it thrusts deep into his chest and blinds him in agony, and a wild and primal howl of violation rips up from the very depths of the marine's soul, and the vapour of ash within the blade shrieks in triumph as it pours into him. Once again in the past, he is released from his cell, but around him, and him at this moment is the demon, around him everywhere are hateful symbols, wards and runes that hurt his kind. Around the demon, people chant, and it screams and rages and thrashes at this latest indignity, and words from an ancient book are said to drag it out and the demon thinks, they may drag me out, but I will tear Meryn Dragomir in half with me. In the present, Dragomir is hauled out by the demon, and the demon thinks it will take him. But Dragomir knows this is the second time. Internally he thinks, forever would I be proof against the temptations of the Neverborn, and never again could my body play host to one of the infernal denizens of the warp. The demon had gone from blade to Dragomir's flesh, but he thinks, my flesh rejects it. And in that moment, with combat stims, he shatters the chains that hold him. He rips the mask off and hurls the iron cage at the dying Sedai Timon, whose body is scattered to dust. Dragomir takes the blade from his chest. The blasphemous iron is removed, though it gashes his palms and scars his skin black, and he uses it. He kills the acolytes, and inside the demon tries to remain, and he thinks, but my flesh is barren soil to its kind, my soul naught but ash and dust within, which no seed can bloom, no dark root gain a foothold. The demon thinks that even the cold terror of its imprisoning blade is better than its host's form. Dragomir shatters the demon's cage, and the blade it once lived in turns to ash. A storm starts around him, the essence of the demon. It draws blood from wounds, but even that to the demon is poison. It has lived for millennia, but now that time is over. He rises and thinks, I rise to my feet, shoulders back and head held high, before the Reaper of Ash. Blood fills my mouth, and I spit it into the smoky hurricane, filling the cell. He announces, I am Meryn Dragomir, first blade of the sons of Balthazar, proud warrior of the Exorcists, holy servant of the God Emperor of mankind, and I cast you back to the warp. And the ash of its body sifts through the mesh floor of the cell that had once held it, a cell that was never really the Marine's prison, merely a ruse to ensnare a monster. And in the past, the demon there fades as the Marine drinks blessed water and feels the veil's call, and it finds it can no longer move his body. Then it spills from his mouth in a froth of stinking matter, but it is still enclosed by the wards, and veil opens to it to pull it back. And as it leaves, it thinks how it has shattered the body that it had inhabited, and says at the end, I may be banished now, but I can one day return to this realm, but Meryn Dragomir's soul will always be a broken, ruined thing, forever an empty place. So now, friends, I turn things over to you. I hope you enjoyed this lore video about the Exorcists, and I enjoyed making it. Got a comment? Drop me one down below.